Chapter 2368. Lu Ming clasped the neck of the alien race member with one hand. The alien race member was like a baby, struggling madly. His 2 legs, 4 limbs, and arms kept flailing. His face was flushed red and his eyes were popping out. A 2-star great monarch can't even withstand a single blow, Lu Ming said indifferently. Asterisk hiss hiss hiss. Asterisk the heaven domain side was still fine, but the foreign races side was filled with gasps. A 2-star great emperor who was astonishingly fast was as vulnerable as a baby in Lu Ming's hands. How was this possible? Everyone's eyes narrowed, including the 4-star great monarch. It seems like you're the one who broke through to the 4-star great monarch realm? The 4-star great monarch said. Lu Ming smiled faintly, declining to comment. It was normal for the other party to think that he was the 4-star great monarch. Other than a 4-star great monarch, who else had the strength to take down a 2-star great monarch so easily? Not even a 3-star great monarch. Bang! Lu Ming's palm exploded with force, killing the skinny foreign being. At the side, Emperor Wu Xiong, Emperor Han Tian, and Emperor Tian Hua exclaimed. Unknowingly, Lu Ming had grown to such a level. Killing a 2-star great monarch was like killing an ant to him. That was a 2-star great emperor. In the primal mountain, that was an overlord of a region. He was a high and mighty figure that suppressed all directions. Then let's have a battle to the death. The 4-star martial monarch stepped forth as a battle axe appeared in his hands. A powerful aura burst forth from him. I'm done playing with you guys. Let's end this, Lu Ming muttered. The muscles on his body began to vibrate violently. Whoosh! Lu Ming's figure dashed forward. His speed was faster than anyone could react. In an instant, he was in front of the 4-star great monarch. How is this possible? The 4-star great monarch's eyes widened. He was almost scared to death. He then unleashed all his strength to defend himself. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch, and the overwhelming force of the punch blasted toward the alien race in front of him. Bang! The outsider was sent flying, and a large hole appeared in his body. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood, and his aura withered. He had been seriously injured by Lu Ming in a single move. Run! The other outsiders reacted and were almost scared to death. They then turned and ran. They understood that they had encountered an opponent that they couldn't defeat. Even a 4-star great sovereign was severely injured by a single move. If they were to go against him, only death would await them. Kill! Lu Ming let out a long howl and leaped forward to kill. His fists continuously blasted out. A series of fists streaked across the sky and blasted toward the non-humans. Among the foreign races, there were a few 3-star great emperors who were struck by Lu Ming's fist force. They were killed instantly and exploded in the air. Kill! Wu Xiong Great Emperor roared, and together with Chaos Heaven Great Emperor and Heaven Fire Great Emperor, they charged towards the non-human kind. Let's attack together. The other beings from the heaven realm also roared and charged toward the outsiders. Only by killing all the outsiders would they be able to leave. This concerned their lives, so naturally, they all unleashed their full power. This was a massacre, and there were no surprises. Lu Ming's figure flickered continuously. Every time he flickered, a few non-humankind beings would be killed by him, and their storage rings would be collected by him. You won't be able to escape. Lu Ming stared at the 4-star great emperor. This outsider wanted to escape, but he had been severely injured by Lu Ming in a single move. There was no way he could escape. Lu Ming rushed forward and killed this outsider in 2 moves. After collecting his storage bracelet, he turned around and killed the other non-humankind beings. The non-humankind beings fled for their lives, but they couldn't escape at all. Lu Ming and the others caught up and killed them one by one. After a while, all the non-humankind beings present were killed by Lu Ming and the others. Take a look and see if there are any formation plates in their storage bracelet. Lu Ming instructed. He took out the storage bracelets he had obtained from the non-humankind beings and checked them. Without a doubt, Lu Ming had obtained the most storage bracelets. There were a total of 50 to 60 storage bracelets. In the end, Lu Ming found 3 formation plates. The others found one as well. 8 formation plates were gathered. The formation spirit said that we have to kill everyone on the other side before we can leave. There might be some non-humankind beings who escaped and are hiding somewhere. During this period of time, you guys should look around and find those who escaped. Lu Ming said. The others nodded. Right now, Lu Ming was undoubtedly the most powerful person. Naturally, the rest would listen to him instinctively. The creatures of the heaven realm formed groups of a few people and spread out to search for the fish that escaped the net. Of course, Lu Ming couldn't be bothered with such things. He found a place to cultivate and comprehend the laws in peace. Now, the reincarnation laws and primordial laws had both reached the third realm. Lu Ming began to plan to comprehend the other strongest laws. Next, Lu Ming chose the eternal laws and began to comprehend them. The more laws he comprehended, the easier it was for Lu Ming to comprehend the laws. After a few days, he had mastered the eternal laws. Time passed day by day, and in the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. In these 3 months, the people from the heaven realm had searched this area. As expected, there were some non-humankind beings who escaped and were found and killed one by one. Now, they concluded that there were no non-humankind beings who escaped. At this moment, everyone gathered and flew towards the door that they had entered from. As soon as they arrived, the figure of the young formation spirit appeared. I didn't expect you to complete my request so quickly. How boring. The formation spirit sighed. Everyone's hearts skipped a beat. Would the formation spirit go back on his word and make some strange requests? You won't go back on your word, right? Lu Ming asked. Of course not. Although I'm bored, I'm a man of my word. Take out the formation plates. The formation spirit pursed his lips and said. Lu Ming waved his hand, and 8 formation plates appeared. The formation spirit stretched out his hand, and a ray of light flashed. The 8 formation plates vibrated and emitted a bright light. They flew towards the door and merged with it. Crack. The door opened. Everyone was overjoyed. Let's go. Someone was overjoyed and rushed out. This time, there was no obstruction. That person rushed out of the door and disappeared. Let's go, let's go. The rest of the people rushed out of the door. Lu Ming, Emperor Wu Xiong, and the others did the same. When they rushed out of the door, they found that they had already left the huge tower and were outside. How boring. The formation spirit's voice came from the huge tower. Then, the huge tower door closed. Let's go, Deans. Lu Ming said and left with the 3 Deans. The others also left. Next, Lu Ming, Emperor Wu Xiong, Emperor Han Tian, and Emperor Tian Hua headed towards the depths of the Void Sacred Island. Roar. Chapter 2369. With a roar, the sky changed color and the earth shook. A terrifying murderous aura spread from the front. Lu Ming, Emperor Wu Xiong, Emperor Han Tian, and Emperor Tian Hua were shocked. The reason for that was because that roar gave off an extremely terrifying feeling. It made one's hair stand on end. Swoosh. Swoosh. Following that, Lu Ming and the rest saw streaks of rainbow lights flying toward them from the distant sky. They were flying from the depths of the Void Sacred Island. There was an expert in each of the rainbow lights, and each of them was extremely terrifying. None of them were weaker than Lan Kang. This meant that these people were all high-level great emperors. Some of them had a terrifying aura that made Lu Ming's heart skip a beat. Peak Great Emperors. Lu Ming judged that a few of them had reached the peak Great Emperor realm. There were beings from the heaven boundary and the evil god tribe among them. But now, these people seemed to have encountered something terrifying and were running for their lives. Roar. Another roar came from the depths of the Void Sacred Island. Then, a huge creature appeared in the sky. A huge white tiger stood on the ground. Its back was taller than the mountains. With a roar, the mountains exploded. Even though they were far away, Lu Ming and the others felt a terrifying pressure coming at them. Could it be one of the legendary 4 divine beasts, the white tiger? Emperor Wu Xiong cried out in shock. What? The 4 divine beast? The expressions of Lu Ming and the rest changed drastically. The 4 divine beasts were the azure dragon, vermilion bird, white tiger, and black tortoise. Legend had it that the 4 divine beasts were ancient divine beasts in the heaven boundary. They were extremely powerful and were on the same level as the top 10 battle beasts. There were legends of the 4 divine beasts in various places. However, they weren't the legendary 4 divine beasts. They only had the bloodline of the 4 divine beasts. Could it be that one had really appeared? Impossible. The real 4 divine beasts are on the same level as the top 10 battle beasts. Although this one is powerful, it's not that powerful. Lu Ming's expression changed. Roar. The white tiger's roar was as loud as thunder. It stomped on the ground with all 4 of its limbs, causing the mountains to crumble and the rocks to shake the sky. Its huge body rushed towards the fleeing experts. Its eyes turned silver-white, and 2 silver-white sword lights slashed out. A miserable shriek was heard. An existence that was at least a 5-star great sovereign was killed in the air by 2 sword lights. He had no power to resist at all. Let's go. Lu Ming roared and turned to flee with Emperor Wu Xiong and the others. However, the people behind them, as well as the white tiger, were astonishingly fast. The distance between them and them was rapidly closing. How unlucky. Lu Ming, Emperor Wu Xiong, and the others sighed inwardly. They had just escaped from the array formation, yet they encountered such a terrifying white tiger. They were truly unlucky. Let's not go in the same direction as those people, Emperor Wu Xiong shouted. There was probably a reason why the white tiger was chasing after those people. Immediately, they changed their direction and rushed to the side. There was a risk in doing so. Once the white tiger targeted them, it would be easier for it to catch up to them. However, they had no other choice now. With their strength, they definitely couldn't outrun those 5-star great sovereigns, or even peak great sovereigns. If they continued to run and the white tiger caught up to them, they would probably be slapped to death. They could only take the risk. They had made the right bet. The white tiger roared and didn't target them. Instead, it chased after the strongest experts. Lu Ming and the others didn't stop. They ran for a distance before stopping. At this point, the white tiger had already chased after the others. It seems like the white tiger has targeted the strongest experts. Those people must have offended the white tiger, Emperor Hun Tian guessed. I didn't expect the Void Sacred Island to have such a terrifying white tiger. This white tiger's strength is definitely above the Great Sovereign Realm. Could it be a heavenly emperor? Emperor Wu Xiong said. Everyone's expression was solemn. Heavenly emperors couldn't enter the Void Sacred Island. If the white tiger was really a heavenly emperor, then it would be terrifying. No one would be able to defeat it. Immediately, they left this place and ran into the distance, wanting to get away from the white tiger. However, a few hours later, their expressions changed drastically. This was because there was an extremely sharp cry in front of them. It pierced through space and time. A large group of people ran for their lives. Some were from the heavenly realm, and some were from the evil god tribe. Behind these people, a huge phoenix spread its wings and chased after them. Vermilion bird. Lu Ming and the others looked at each other. Their voices were hoarse. First, they saw the white tiger. Now, they saw the vermilion bird. Could it be that all the divine beasts had appeared? Let's go. Without hesitation, the 4 of them turned and ran. This time, they were experienced and ran in another direction. Indeed, the vermilion bird was chasing after the strongest group. Not long after, they successfully escaped. The white tiger and vermilion bird have both appeared. What happened in the depths of the Void Sacred Island? Lu Ming and the others were puzzled. Next, they found a secluded place to hide. In the next few days, they would hear terrifying roars from time to time. A few days later, the roars disappeared. At this time, they came out of their hiding place and met some experts. Many of them were high-level great emperors. They asked the other party and found out a lot. In the past few years, the great emperors of the heavenly realm and the evil god tribe had been roaming the Void Sacred Island, fighting and searching for treasures. Although the Void Sacred Island was large, it had been almost completely searched in the past few years. Some time ago, everyone found a secret place. That place was suspected to be the core of the Void Sacred Island. It was very likely that it was the place where the owner of the Void Sacred Island would preach. This discovery was truly incredible. What kind of person was the owner of the Void Sacred Island? He should be someone who surpassed the Heavenly Emperor. If it was really the place where he preached, there would be great opportunities. Many experts gathered, intending to enter that place to explore. However, there were actually 4 terrifying divine beasts guarding that place. They were exactly the same as the legendary 4 divine beasts. However, their fighting strength was not as strong as the legendary 4 divine beasts. They should have barely reached the Heavenly Emperor realm. Even if they had reached the Heavenly Emperor realm, they were not people that the great emperors could contend with. The 4 divine beasts had gone berserk. A large number of experts from the Heavenly realm and the evil god tribe had fallen. The remaining people were chased by the 4 divine beasts. That was why Lu Ming and the others had encountered the Void Sacred Island. Now, the 4 divine beasts are roaming the depths of the Void Sacred Island. All the experts have retreated from the depths of the Void Sacred Island. They do not dare to go in. Otherwise, it will be extremely dangerous. A high-level great emperor sighed. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. Originally, his fighting strength had increased greatly. He had planned to explore the Void Sacred Island and try his luck. It seemed like he could only cancel this plan and stay in the periphery of the Void Sacred Island. There must be opportunities in the core area. Now, many experts are hiding in the periphery of the Void Sacred Island, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Chapter 2370. Lu Ming could only give up on the idea of entering the Void Sacred Island. They found a secluded place to hide and cultivate in peace. To the current Lu Ming, comprehending the laws here was a great opportunity. It could save him a lot of time. Even if he couldn't get other opportunities, Lu Ming was satisfied. Lu Ming comprehended the laws in peace. Emperor Wu Xiong and the others were focused on refining the great Dao fragments. They hoped to take another step forward and become a 3-star great emperor. Just like that, the days passed one by one. During this time, Emperor Wu Xiong, Emperor Han Tian, and Emperor Tian Hua would take turns to go out and gather information to investigate the current situation. Now, on the Void Sacred Island, whether it was the living beings of the Heaven Realm or the experts of the other races, they were like them. They were hiding and didn't dare to move. This was because there were 4 terrifying divine beasts in the depths of the Void Sacred Island. 2 of them were guarding the core area, and the other 2 were roaming around. Once they found the living beings of the Heaven Realm or the evil god tribe, they would immediately start a massacre. Therefore, it was impossible for those experts to have any ideas about the core area. As for Lu Ming, he also cultivated in peace. He didn't care about anything else. To Lu Ming, the Void Sacred Island was more useful than any holy land for cultivation. If he left the Void Sacred Island, where could he find such a good holy land for cultivation? However, there was one thing that Lu Ming wouldn't forget. That was the Heavenly Emperor's physical body. Previously, in the Giant Tower, Lu Ming had killed a large number of evil god tribe members. There were a total of 50 to 60 of them. The storage rings of these evil god tribe members had all fallen into his hands. These evil god tribe members were all great emperors. Their storage rings contained a large number of black crystals. Moreover, the quality was very high and they contained a lot of energy. Although it was very difficult for the living beings of the Heaven Realm to absorb these crystals, the Heavenly Emperor's physical body could absorb and store the energy. Lu Ming split a portion of his attention to control the Heavenly Emperor's physical body to absorb the energy of these crystals and store it. Just like that, time flew. Spring went and autumn came. 5 years passed in a flash. This could be said to be the longest seclusion Lu Ming had ever cultivated. This closed-door seclusion, Lu Ming's harvest was very great. Lu Ming had cultivated the laws of eternity, the laws of nothingness, and the laws of space to the 3rd realm. However, the remaining 2 laws of the top 10, the law of fate and the law of karma, were extremely difficult to cultivate. The laws of fate were extremely mysterious and difficult to grasp. Lu Ming had tried several times, but he did not manage to grasp them. As for the laws of karma, they were generally something that only Buddhists would be able to comprehend. Buddhism emphasized the cycle of karma. Without such a state of mind, it was very difficult to comprehend. However, Lu Ming had already cultivated 8 of his strongest laws to the 3rd level. His comprehension of the laws had reached an astonishing level. By relying on his amazing perception, Lu Ming had managed to comprehend the karma laws. Not only that, but Lu Ming also comprehended other King Tao laws in these 5 years. For example, the indestructible ancient scripture required the law of undying flame, the law of Vajra, and the law of kings. Lu Ming had cultivated a total of 3 law of kings to the 3rd level. Moreover, Lu Ming had also spent a large amount of time to fuse these laws and evolve them into divine abilities. In 5 years, not only did he comprehend 3 of his strongest laws and 3 law of kings to the 3rd level, but he also evolved them into divine abilities. This was absolutely impossible outside. It would probably take more than 100 years. But here, he had done it in 5 years. Now, Lu Ming already had 17 laws that had reached the 3rd level. When these 17 laws were fused together, the power was astonishing. However, it did not increase Lu Ming's battle strength by much. The main reason was that Lu Ming's current physical body realm was too high. With just his physical body, he could suppress a 4-star Great Emperor. In the Great Emperor realm, the higher one's strength was, the greater the gap between them. As for the laws, they were just laws after all. They could not be compared to the Great Tao. No matter how many laws there were, it was still the same. Lu Ming might be able to rely on a large number of laws to challenge a 1-star Great Emperor, or even a 2-star Great Emperor. However, the further he went, the harder it would be to challenge them with just laws. Unless Lu Ming used these laws to rush into the Great Emperor realm and evolve them into the Great Tao, his power would skyrocket. However, Lu Ming did not have any plans to break through to the Great Emperor realm. At the very least, he wanted to cultivate all 10 of his strongest laws to the 3rd level. He even wanted to cultivate more of his law of kings to the 3rd level. When he broke through to the Great Emperor realm, his Great Tao would be amazing. Lu Ming found it hard to imagine, but he was also looking forward to it. Therefore, Lu Ming estimated that if he went all out, he would be able to suppress a 5-star Great Emperor. However, he would definitely not be a match for a 6-star Great Emperor. As for the Heavenly Emperor's physical body, it had absorbed a large amount of black crystals from the evil god tribe. It had been filled with energy for a long time. Yes, the energy stored in the Heavenly Emperor's physical body had reached 100%. Now, with the Heavenly Emperor's physical body, he could compete with a peak Great Emperor. Swoosh! At this moment, a figure flashed over. It was Emperor Wu Xiong. Previously, Emperor Wu Xiong had gone out to gather information. When Emperor Wu Xiong returned, Emperor Hun Tian and Emperor Tianhua also opened their eyes. "Everyone, there's big news outside," Emperor Wu Xiong quickly said as soon as he returned. "What news?" Lu Ming's interest was piqued. During this period of time, the experts from the Heaven World and the Evil God Tribe have reached an agreement. They plan to join forces to deal with the 4 divine beasts and enter the core area, Emperor Wu Xiong said. Join forces? The combat strength of the 4 divine beasts has reached the Heavenly Emperor realm. Even the weakest Heavenly Emperor is far stronger than a Great Emperor. Even if the 2 sides join forces, they won't be a match for a Heavenly Emperor. Emperor Tianhua was suspicious. Yes, but this matter has already alarmed the Heavenly Emperors outside the Void Sacred Island. The Heavenly Emperors from the Heaven World are planning to send 2 Heavenly Tao soldiers to kill the 4 divine beast. Emperor Wu Xiong said. Heavenly Tao soldiers. Lu Ming and the others widened their eyes in shock. What a big deal. They were actually sending 2 Heavenly Tao soldiers. Obviously, the Heavenly Emperors outside the Void Sacred Island valued the core area very much. It's said that the Heavenly Emperors borrowed them from a few peerless experts. Also, the Heavenly Emperors from the Evil God Tribe also want to take out a few Heavenly Tao soldiers of the same level to deal with the Divine Beast. Emperor Wu Xiong said. When are we going to take action? Lu Ming asked. At most half a month. Now, the experts from the Heaven World and the Evil God Tribe are discussing the specific plan of action, Emperor Wu Xiong said. Lu Ming pondered. In the end, he decided to make a trip. The core area could not be missed. The combat strength of the 4 divine beasts was barely at the Heavenly Emperor realm. If there were many peak Great Emperors activating the Heavenly Tao soldiers, they might be able to kill the 4 divine beasts. At that time, they would be able to enter the core area. Now that Lu Ming's combat strength was not weak, his life-saving ability was even stronger. Moreover, he had the physical body of a Heavenly Emperor. It was not impossible for him to try his luck. Lu Ming, if you want to go, you must be careful, Emperor Wu Xiong and the others warned. Chapter 2371. Next, Lu Ming and the others ended their seclusion and paid close attention to the movements of the outside world. 10 days later, the experts of the Heaven Realm sent out a message to gather all the high-level Great Emperors and head to the core area together. It wasn't that those experts were so kind and wanted to reap the benefits together, but they needed strength. Even if they killed the 4 divine beasts, they would have to face the experts of the evil god tribe later. They had to increase their strength. Otherwise, they would be annihilated by the evil god tribe after killing the 4 divine beasts. Lu Ming bade farewell to Emperor Wu Xiong and the others and headed in a direction. After flying for a long distance, they arrived at a mountain valley. In comparison, this place was rather secretive. When Lu Ming arrived, he found that there were already many people gathered here. More than 300. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He was a little shocked. There were already more than 300 living beings gathered here. This number was very shocking. One had to know that almost all the people here were high-level Great Emperors. These people were from various races. The human race was the most, and there were also various divine beasts. Although most of them were in human form, Lu Ming could still sense them through their aura. Lu Ming. When Lu Ming arrived, someone recognized Lu Ming and revealed a look of shock. Lu Ming actually dared to come here. One had to know that those who could come here were high-level Great Emperors. Could it be that Lu Ming already had the strength of a high-level Great Emperor? Impossible. Most of them shook their heads, thinking that Lu Ming was just here to try his luck. However, there were a few people who looked serious. This was because the news of Lu Ming easily killing a 4-star Great Emperor expert in the giant tower had spread. Some of them had heard of this matter. Lu Ming arrived, walked to the side, and waited patiently. As time passed, more and more people came. Gradually, the number exceeded 500. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He saw a little Daoist looking around furtively. If it wasn't Dandan, who else could it be? Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. Dandan had indeed come to the Void Sacred Island. Wherever there were treasures, this guy would definitely be there. Dandan. Lu Ming called out. Who is it? Dandan jumped in fright and looked around. When it saw Lu Ming, it revealed a smile and flew over. So it's you. Why? Have you broken through to the Great Emperor realm? You dare to come here? Dandan's attention to him. You. This guy was indeed one of the top 10 combat beasts. It was very knowledgeable and could tell some of Lu Ming's secrets at one glance. You've improved tremendously. Lu Ming laughed. Deep in his eyes, there was a hint of surprise. Dandan's cultivation was unfathomable in his eyes. Needless to say, this guy had reached the Great Emperor realm a long time ago. Moreover, he had reached a very high level. Ha ha ha, then you should know who I am. Dandan grinned. Of course, the two of them chatted through telepathy to prevent others from eavesdropping on their secrets. The two of them had not seen each other for a long time and were chatting casually. Later on, the number of people who came here gradually decreased. 3 days later, there were more than 600 people gathered here. They were all high-level Great Emperors and above. Any one of them would be an expert in the outside world. Everyone. At this moment, a group of people stepped out. There were about a dozen of them. Their auras were profound and unfathomable. They are all peak Great Emperors. Dandan sent a telepathic message to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded secretly. These people were probably the strongest group of people in the heaven boundary. A burly man with a bearded face looked like a lion. He looked around and said, "Let me introduce myself. My name is Hongsha. He paused for a moment and said, "Now, let me tell you what we need to do. In the depths of the void sacred island, there is a place that is most likely the real dojo left behind by the owner of this island. However, there are indeed 4 divine beasts guarding it. The 4 divine beasts have the legendary bloodline of the 4 divine beasts. Their combat strength has reached the heavenly emperor realm. First, our goal is to get rid of the 4 divine beasts. Of the 4 divine beasts, 2 have been guarding the core area, while the other 2 have been patrolling and cruising outside. Therefore, we only need to get rid of 2 of them. As for the 2 cruising beasts, we only need to send someone to attract their attention." Send someone to attract their attention? Many people's faces darkened. It was definitely very dangerous to send someone to attract the 2 cruising divine beasts. Who would be willing to do it? Hongsha saw through everyone's thoughts and said with a smile, "You don't have to worry about this. We have already sent people out. They are all experts in speed and life-saving abilities. They will be enough to attract that divine beast for a period of time. As for the other divine beast, we will leave it to the evil god tribe. This time, we've discussed it with the evil god tribe. Of the 4 divine beasts, each side will deal with 2. Now that the one roaming outside has been dealt with, the next step is to deal with the 2 divine beasts guarding the core area. Similarly, we and the evil god tribe will deal with 1 divine beast each. In the end, we will enter the core area and fight for the treasures with our own abilities." Hongsha spoke a long string of words, and everyone nodded, understanding the gist of it. "It's about time. Let's set off now." After Hongsha finished speaking, he took the lead and flew toward the void sacred island. More than 600 experts followed him. They had already sent someone to attract the attention of 1 divine beast. Naturally, they knew the safe route. Therefore, they were very fast and flew toward the void sacred island. They were not afraid of encountering that divine beast. A day later, they had already arrived at the central area of the void sacred island. Here, they slowed down. Soon, they came to a mountain peak and looked into the distance. There was an area in front. It was misty as if it was shrouded in fog. Even with their eyesight, they could not see through the fog. There was only a huge arched door in the south. This arched door was open. From afar, they could see a stone staircase behind the arched door. This is the core area. However, the fog is formed by a great array. We can't enter at all. If we want to enter, we can only go through that arched door. However, as long as we appear, those 2 divine beasts will also appear. Therefore, we have to deal with those 2 divine beasts first." Hongsha explained. "The people from the evil god tribe should also be here. I will go and contact the people from the evil god tribe. Later, we will move together and deal with 1 divine beast each," a white-haired old man said. Then, his figure flashed and he left. Not long after, the white-haired old man returned. "The people from the evil god tribe have arrived. 10 minutes later, we will attack together," the white-haired old man said. Everyone nodded and waited patiently. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes passed. "Let's go," Hongsha said. Everyone retracted their auras and flew toward the core area. Chapter 2372. So many people. Many people's hearts sank. They realized that there were about 900 people from the evil god tribe, which was a few hundred more than them. The experts from both sides quickly got close to the core. Boom, boom, boom. Just as Lu Ming and the rest were nearing the core area, there was a violent roar in the fog. The ground was shaking continuously. Then, a huge monster appeared. It was a huge tortoise. This tortoise was even bigger than a mountain. It had a thick tortoise shell on its back, a dragon head, and a snake tail. It was very similar to one of the 4 legendary divine beasts, the black tortoise. Roar. The black tortoise let out a loud roar, and the ground shook. Countless rocks started to move, turning into stone swords that slashed at them. "Sacrifice the Heaven Dao soldier," Hongsha shouted. He waved his hand, and a purple-gold battle sword appeared, emitting a shocking aura and pressure. 5 or 6 peak great emperors attacked together, and their great Daos and world energy infused into the purple-gold battle sword. The purple-gold battle sword let out a sword cry, and it grew rapidly. This was the Heaven Dao soldier. 5 or 6 peak great emperors joined forces to control the Heaven Dao soldier. Although they couldn't unleash the full power of the Heaven Dao soldier, it was still terrifying. Kang! The purple-gold battle sword vibrated, and a faint Heaven Dao pressure spread out. At the same time, purple sword chi burst out, shattering the stone swords of the black tortoise. In addition, some peak great emperors took out another Heaven Dao soldier. This time, they borrowed a total of 2 Heaven Dao soldiers. The second Heaven Dao soldier was a round bead. It was as black as ink, but its power was also terrifying. 7 or 8 peak great emperors controlled this Heaven Dao soldier. The black bead became huge, and it suppressed the black tortoise. More than 10 peak great emperors controlled 2 Heaven Dao soldiers to attack the black tortoise. The black tortoise roared, and a shocking aura burst out. The ground shook, and endless rocks and soil formed all kinds of attacks, attacking the 2 Heaven Dao soldiers. An intense battle broke out between the 2 sides. Roar! At the same time, a dragon roar came from another direction. A huge azure dragon appeared, and its body was winding. Its aura was wild, and it charged at the evil god tribe. The evil god tribe also took out 2 Heaven Dao soldiers, and they fought with the azure dragon. Boom! Boom! On the Heaven Realms side, the 2 Heavenly Dao soldiers exploded with terrifying power. This kind of power had completely surpassed the Great Emperor level and entered the Heavenly Emperor level. The 2 Heavenly Dao soldiers attacked at the same time. They immediately destroyed some of the black tortoise's attacks and attacked it. Clang! A purplish gold sword beam slashed at the black tortoise. However, the black tortoise moved its body and the sword beam slashed at the tortoise shell, leaving only a shallow mark on it. Such a strong defense. The people from the Heaven Realm had ugly expressions on their faces. Boom! At this moment, the black bead also came crashing down, but the black tortoise still managed to avoid being hit in its vitals. When the bead hit the tortoise shell, the black tortoise only trembled slightly and was forced back a few steps. At this moment, a wail rang out from afar. The azure dragon had been struck by the evil god tribe's battle weapon, and a deep wound had appeared on its body. Now that the azure dragon was injured, the evil god race gained the upper hand. Damn it, our luck is too bad. We actually encountered the black tortoise. Hong Sha roared furiously, somewhat unwilling to accept this. It was not that the black tortoise was stronger than the azure dragon. The difference in strength between the two was not big. With the 2 Heavenly Dao soldiers, they should be able to suppress the other party and even kill it. However, the black tortoise's defense was too strong. The black tortoise was known for its defense. The black tortoise's defense was far above the azure dragon's, and its vitality was tenacious. It was even harder to deal with. Before they attacked, they were afraid of encountering the black tortoise. Unexpectedly, they really encountered it. Everyone, attack together, Hong Sha roared, calling for everyone to attack. Kill, kill, everyone made their move. There were more than 600 of them, and all of them were high-level great sovereigns. When they attacked together, their power was shocking. Beams of dazzling light bombarded the black tortoise. However, the black tortoise's head and limbs directly retracted into its tortoise shell. When all the attacks landed on its tortoise shell, only intense rumbles could be heard. The black tortoise was completely fine. It could not break the other party's defense at all. More than 10 peak great emperors controlled the Heavenly Dao soldiers to attack, but they were also blocked by the other party. However, the moment the people from the Heaven Realm stopped attacking or weakened their attacks, the black tortoise would immediately counterattack. With the black tortoise's strength, it was a great threat to them. Not far away, the azure dragon let out a mournful cry. Another wound appeared on its body. The azure dragon's defense was far inferior to the black tortoise's. At this moment, it was retreating step by step. It was only a matter of time before it was defeated. Ha ha ha, this treasure land will belong to us. The people from the evil god tribe laughed heartily. As long as they killed the azure dragon first and entered the core area first, the treasures in the core area would be theirs. Attack together. On the evil god tribe side, they also called for everyone to attack together. With 8 to 900 high-level great emperors attacking together, it was simply apocalyptic. Immediately, the Azure Dragon's injuries worsened. Wounds kept appearing on its body, and its aura became weaker and weaker. It was increasingly not a match for them. Damn it! On the Heaven Realms side, many people roared angrily. If this continued, they would not be able to obtain anything. Wouldn't the evil god tribe benefit from this? Even if they benefited others, they could not let the evil god tribe benefit. It seems like I have to personally take action. At the side, Dandan spoke. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Dandan was one of the top 10 battle beasts, the world divine turtle. It was also a turtle, and it was a peak existence among the turtle species. Even the real black tortoise was only on par with Dandan, not to mention that this one only had some of the bloodline of the real black tortoise. Dandan soared into the sky, and its body underwent a drastic change. It directly turned into a giant turtle. Then, its body grew bigger and bigger, almost filling up the entire sky. The turtle shell was covered with mysterious patterns, as if it was a world of its own. Junior, why aren't you kneeling when you see me? Dandan looked at the black tortoise, and a huge pressure pressed down on the black tortoise. The black tortoise's eyes were filled with shock and fear. This was the fear of a lower being facing a higher being. Although Dandan's cultivation was inferior to the other parties, the world divine turtle was definitely at the top of the turtle species. Attack! At this moment, Hong Shu and the others seized the opportunity to control the heavenly Dao soldier and attack the black tortoise. The black tortoise was intimidated by Dandan's aura. Its mind was shaken, and its movements were much slower. Instantly, its head was hit. Poof! The purple-gold heavenly Dao soldier was incomparably huge. The entire sword was inserted into the black tortoise's head. The black tortoise's turtle shell had astonishing defensive power. However, its head and limbs had very weak defensive power, even weaker than other divine beasts. They were its weak points. Chapter 2373. The others immediately seized the opportunity and launched a fierce attack. Boom! The huge black bead pressed down and bombarded the black tortoise's head, causing it to be injured even more. Following that, the attacks of the experts from the Heaven Realm also landed on the wound on the black tortoise's head, causing it to be injured even more. Roar! The black tortoise howled. Finally, its huge body charged towards the crowd. Everyone's expression changed. The black tortoise fought back with all its might. If they were hit by it, they would definitely be smashed into pieces. Everyone dodged. The black tortoise took the opportunity to retract its 4 limbs and head into its shell. Then, like a ball, it actually rolled into the distance and escaped. Everyone looked at each other. They didn't expect the black tortoise to escape directly. Everyone thought that the black tortoise would protect this place with its life. Perhaps, it was the effect of the world turtle. Everyone looked at Dandan and guessed in their hearts. The black tortoise might have been frightened by the world turtle. In addition, it was heavily injured, so it escaped. Dandan had been wandering in the Heaven Realm all these years. Many people had already heard of his name. Haha, the black tortoise has escaped. Let's go in. Someone laughed loudly and rushed towards the arched door. Damn it! The people from the evil god tribe roared. They originally thought that they would have the upper hand, but they didn't expect that the Heaven Realm would have the upper hand. Kill, kill, kill. The people from the evil god tribe were anxious and attacked with all their might. Instantly, the injuries of the Azure Dragon became even more serious. Its dragon claws were cut off. Lu Ming and the others had already arrived at the door. The arched door was very huge. It was at least 10,000 meters tall. A few hundred of them could easily pass through. Their eyes were burning as they rushed into the arched door. At this moment, Dandan had already transformed into his human form and rushed into the arched door with Lu Ming. Behind the arched door was a mountain. In front of them, there was a stone staircase that led to the top of the mountain. As soon as they walked into the arched door, they immediately felt an incomparably terrifying pressure. That pressure was the same as the pressure in other places of the Void Divine Island. It could suppress the heavenly Dao. However, the pressure here was even stronger. In other places, They could still fly. But here, they found that they couldn't fly. Even walking was difficult. Bang! Bang! Someone took a step forward and walked up the stone staircase with difficulty. Since he couldn't fly, he could only walk. Lu Ming and Dandan also climbed up the stone stairs. That pressure was too strong. Their walking speed was extremely slow. Only the peak martial monarchs fared better. They were the fastest, climbing the stairs one step at a time. Some 4-star great emperors were as slow as snails. Lu Ming's speed was considered above average among these people. Lu Ming, your speed can't keep up. Dandan took a few steps forward. His speed wasn't any slower than those peak stage great emperors. Dandan, you've become a peak great emperor? Lu Ming asked. No, 6-star martial monarchs, but I'm sure my strength is on par with theirs. Dandan looked confident. Everyone used all their strength to climb, but not long after, the members of the evil god race still managed to rush in. Evidently, the Azure Dragon was also killed by them. The 800 to 900 members of the evil god race also started to climb, but they were also under great pressure. However, some of the peak stage great emperors were still very fast. They continued to move forward and soon surpassed the 4-star great emperors of the heaven domain. What is that? A statue. After walking for a while, they saw a body at the end of the stone stairs. It was obviously a statue. The statue was of a middle-aged man. Although it was just a statue, it still had a domineering aura. That pressure seems to be coming from that statue. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He really had this feeling. It seemed that the pressure was coming from that statue and was even spreading throughout the entire Void Sacred Island. After a while, the peak stage great emperor of the heaven domain who was walking at the front had finished climbing the stone stairs. He walked to the top and disappeared. Everyone was anxious and climbed with all their strength. After a while, Lu Ming finally reached the end of the stone stairs and reached the top. There were also some peak stage great emperors of the evil god race who were similar to him. At the end of the stone stairs was the peak of the mountain. However, there was nothing here except for a statue. The statue emitted a terrifying pressure. The dozen or so peak stage great emperors of the heaven domain who had stepped on the stone stairs earlier stood under the statue with a gloomy expression. Boom! Boom! After arriving here, the pressure was even stronger. Every step they took would cause the ground to rumble. What's going on? What did you get here? An expert of the evil god race questioned the experts of the heaven domain. There's nothing. There's nothing on this mountain top except for this statue, a peak stage great emperor of the heaven domain said. There's nothing. The experts of the evil god race had gloomy expressions. They had borrowed the heavenly Tao weapon and spent a lot of effort to come here. In the end, there was nothing. It would be strange if their expressions were good. This statue, what race does it belong to? As for Lu Ming, he sized up the statue curiously. Now, he was completely sure that the terrifying pressure of the entire Void Sacred Island, which could suppress the heavenly Tao, was coming from this statue. It was just a statue, but it could emit such terrifying pressure. It was really shocking. Needless to say, this statue was most likely carved by the master of the Void Sacred Island, that supreme existence. In fact, it might have been carved by that supreme existence himself. Moreover, this statue had a very strange appearance. This statue was in the shape of a human. It was a middle-aged man and was very handsome. However, there was a pair of snow-white wings on his back. The wings were covered with snow-white feathers. When they spread out, they were full of pressure. His hands were pressed on the hilt of a huge battle sword. The battle sword was inserted into the ground. Could the master of this statue be a bird-type divine beast? Lu Ming guessed. That's not right. Normally, if a divine beast leaves a statue behind, it will leave behind a statue of the divine beast's original body. However, for this kind of human-shaped divine beast with wings, they usually won't leave it like this. I guess that the original body of this existence looks like this, Dandan said. The original body looks like this. There doesn't seem to be such a race in the heaven domain or the primordial realm. There shouldn't be such a race in the evil god race either. Lu Ming was full of doubts. Maybe it's a race that appeared countless years ago. Or maybe it's from other worlds. No one knows if there are other worlds in this world besides the heaven domain, primordial realm, and evil god realm, Dandan said. Other worlds. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Suddenly, his imagination ran wild. While they were chatting and observing, more people climbed up the stone stairs and looked around curiously. Unfortunately, they found nothing. There was really nothing on the mountain top except for this statue. Chapter 2374. Both sides faced each other and were cautious, but they did not attack. Now, there was nothing here. If they fought and got nothing, wouldn't it be a loss? Maybe this statue has a secret. After a while, someone spoke and stared at the statue again. There was nothing here other than that statue. If there was an opportunity, it could only fall on this statue. I'll break it. A cold voice sounded, and an extremely burly evil god tribe member stepped out. In his hand was a battle axe. It was as black as ink, but it emitted a terrifying sharpness. Heavenly Dao soldier. Everyone was shocked. All Daos returned to one. Whether it was the nomological system, the ancient cultivation system, or the evil god tribe, they would all come into contact with the heavenly Dao at the end of their cultivation. In other words, after reaching the heavenly emperor realm, the various major systems were actually very similar. The heavenly Dao soldier contained the heavenly Dao and was the supreme weapon common to all systems. The supreme weapon used by the evil god tribe was also the heavenly Dao soldier. Lend me a hand. The burly evil god tribe member looked at the other evil god tribe members. Immediately, 5 or 6 evil god tribe members walked out. They were all Peak the Arch existences. A total of 7 Peak the Arch evil god tribe members controlled the battle axe at the same time. Buzz. The battle axe vibrated violently, revealing its sharpness. The aura of the heavenly Dao was emitted, causing a huge pressure to press down on everyone. But at this moment, something strange happened. The battle axe that had been rapidly expanding seemed to have been frightened and started to shrink. In the end, it became the size of an ordinary battle axe and fell to the ground. There was no powerful aura at all, and it was like an ordinary axe. Everyone was dumbfounded. The pressure here is too strong. The aura of the heavenly Dao soldier spread out and was directly suppressed by the pressure here. Someone guessed. Everyone was shocked. It was very likely that this was the case. The pressure on the Void Divine Island was supreme and surpassed the heavenly Dao. It could suppress the heavenly Dao and prevent heavenly emperors from entering. And here, the pressure was extremely strong. It was normal for it to be able to suppress the heavenly Dao soldier. The few experts who had borrowed the heavenly Dao soldier had ugly expressions. They had originally wanted to rely on the heavenly Dao soldier to suppress everyone and take the lead. But now, the heavenly Dao soldier could not be used at all. They could only rely on their own strength. The eyes of those who did not have heavenly Dao soldiers lit up. For example, Lu Ming and the others, without the heavenly Dao soldiers, they had nothing to fear. H. Even if I don't use the heavenly Dao soldier, I will still kill you. One of the members of the evil god race bellowed in rage as he brandished a gigantic metal rod and rushed up, smashing it towards the statue. The iron rod rapidly enlarged, becoming tens of thousands of meters long. It was incomparably shocking, shattering the void as it smashed down towards the statue. The evil god tribe member who attacked was extremely powerful. He was a Peak Great Emperor. Boom! The huge iron rod smashed into the head of the statue, causing it to vibrate violently. However, the statue was completely fine. Not even a mark was left on it. So hard, many people were shocked. A Peak Great Emperor's full-strength attack had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. However, nothing happened to the statue. Look, the statue is reacting. Suddenly, someone shouted. Everyone's eyes lit up. The statue was indeed reacting. Previously, this statue seemed to have been carved out of ordinary boulders, and the material looked very ordinary. But now, a layer of milky white light appeared on the statue. It was incomparably holy. Swoosh! Suddenly, the milky white light turned into a sword light, piercing through the air. Its target was the member of the evil god race who attacked the statue earlier. That member of the evil god race was shocked. However, he was suppressed by the terrifying pressure here. His speed became extremely slow, and he couldn't dodge at all. He could only take it head-on. Boom! He struck out with the iron rod in his hand once again. The iron rod pierced through the void, smashing towards the milky white sword light. However, the result was unexpected. The sword light flashed, and with a puff, the iron rod was directly sliced apart. The sword light didn't stop, slashing towards the member of the evil god race at an unbelievable speed. Blood splattered everywhere. The sword light directly pierced through the glabella of that member of the evil god race. His eyes widened, filled with disbelief. However, there was no sign of life. His soul had scattered. With one strike, the soul of the member of the evil god race was destroyed. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. This was a peak great emperor, and he was killed just like that without being able to resist at all. Not good. Many people were shocked and retreated frantically, afraid that they would end up in the same situation. However, after the sword light killed that member of the evil god race, it automatically dissipated. The milky white light on the statue also disappeared without a trace. It was as if that light had appeared to kill that member of the evil god race. It couldn't be humiliated. This statue was the statue of a supreme existence. It couldn't be humiliated. The member of the evil god race who wanted to take out the heavenly Tao weapon to attack the statue broke out in cold sweat. Buzz! Right at this moment, the statue emitted a slight vibration, causing everyone's heart to suddenly tremble and raise their guard. Then, everyone saw that the statue's eyes had changed. At this moment, the statue's eyes were no longer made of stone. Instead, they had become two vortexes. The left eye had become milky white. The right eye was pitch black. In the next moment, rays of light extended out from the two eyes and turned into two paths. Two paths. One led to the left eye, and the other led to the right eye. Why did the statue's eyes suddenly turn into two paths? Could it be that there was another world in the statue's eyes? Were there treasures only inside? Many people started to ponder. The left is the path of life, and the right is the path of death. Life can also lead to death, and death can also lead to life. Choose one. Suddenly, a voice rang out. It came from the statue. Everyone was shocked. It seemed that this statue was really not that simple. It seemed to know that they were coming. Two paths. One is the path of life, and the other is the path of death. Everyone sized up the two paths, and their eyes flickered. There might really be fortuitous opportunities inside. This was a fortuitous opportunity left behind by someone who surpassed the Heavenly Emperor. How precious would that be? Such a supreme existence could refine heavenly Tao weapons. Even if he left behind some trash, it would probably be an unimaginable treasure to them. Many people revealed greed in their eyes. But for a moment, no one moved. This was because no one knew if there would be danger if they stepped on the two paths. The path of life and death. Life could also lead to death, and death could also lead to life. No one could be sure. Everyone wanted someone else to go first. Everyone fell silent, looking at each other. Finally, someone could not bear it anymore. He gritted his teeth and stepped forward. At this moment, a divine beast from the heavenly realm walked toward the path of life in the left eye. In the end, it went unexpectedly smoothly. Chapter 2375. The path of life in the left eye had no abnormalities and entered smoothly. This made many people's eyes light up. With the first one, there would be a second one. Then, another person stepped toward the path of life in the left eye. It was an expert from the evil god race. Like the previous person, there were no abnormalities. He successfully entered the milky white vortex in the left eye and disappeared. Then, even more people entered the left eye. However, there were also some people who revealed doubtful expressions. Was it really that easy? Then, what was the meaning of the other path? Lu Ming and Dandan also had the same thoughts. Only by putting oneself in a desperate situation can one obtain a great fortuitous encounter. I will take the path of death. Someone spoke, his eyes flashing with madness. He stepped forward and actually walked toward the path of death. Many people looked toward this person. They all wanted to see if the path of death would really lead to death. Bang! That person stepped onto the path of death. His body trembled violently and his complexion instantly turned pale as if he had suffered a heavy blow. Then, he screamed miserably and his body flew backward. He fell heavily onto the ground and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. However, he did not die. He was still alive. What is there in the path of death? Someone immediately asked. Pressure, incomparably heavy pressure that bombards the physical body and soul. That person only said one sentence and immediately sat down cross-legged, circulating his energy to treat his injuries. Pressure. In that case, it might not necessarily be a path of death. As long as one can withstand that pressure, the path of death is also a path of life. Many people's eyes lit up. From then on, some people walked toward the path of death. This was because many people thought so. The path of life was too simple. There might not be any benefits in entering it. Perhaps, the great fortuitous encounter would be in the path of death. Then, there were people who continuously stepped toward the path of death. However, the path of death in the right eye had an astonishingly strong pressure. Those who stepped on it were all sent flying, finding it difficult to continue. I'll do it. A burly evil god race member roared and stepped forward, stepping onto the path of death. Bang! Bang! With every step he took, there would be intense tremors. His entire body trembled, clearly under great pressure. However, he gritted his teeth and did not stop, slowly approaching the right eye. In the end, he reached the end. He took a step forward and entered the right eye of the statue, disappearing without a trace. Success. Finally, someone successfully stepped into the right eye. It seems like 6-star martial monarchs should be able to enter, Lu Ming muttered. That evil god tribe member from earlier was a 6-star great emperor. Following that, more and more people entered the path of death. However, if one was not a 6-star great emperor, it would be impossible for them to reach the path of death. At the very least, one would need to be a 6-star great emperor to reach the path of death. Lu Ming, which path should we take? Dandan transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Of course it's the right eye, Lu Ming said. Can you do it? Dandan pursed his lips. Why don't you give it a try? Lu Ming smiled. Bang! After saying this, Lu Ming stepped forward, heading towards the right eye's path of death. Boom! The moment he stepped on it, a terrifying force acted on him, penetrating every corner of his body and even his soul. At this moment, Lu Ming's body trembled non-stop. At the same time, 17 types of laws covered his body, resisting the external pressure. Although Lu Ming's battle strength was slightly weaker than a 6-star great emperor, Lu Ming's defense was definitely not weaker than a 6-star great emperor's. Although it was very difficult for him to walk, he moved forward step by step at a steady speed. He was very determined. Dandan followed behind Lu Ming. This guy seemed to be quite relaxed. Although his cultivation was only a 6-star great emperor, his battle strength was definitely comparable to a peak great emperor. He could even suppress a peak great emperor. After a while, Lu Ming finally approached the right eye of the statue. Phew! Lu Ming let out a long breath, feeling sore all over. Under the terrifying pressure, he had also suffered some injuries. However, under the effect of the indestructible ancient scripture, his injuries were recovering rapidly. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a step forward and stepped into the pitch-black vortex in the right eye. He immediately felt the world spinning around him as if he had just taken a long-distance teleportation formation. Following this, Lu Ming discovered that he had arrived in a huge secret chamber. The secret chamber was extremely huge, spanning over 10,000 li, as if it was a world on its own. On top of that, as soon as Lu Ming entered the place, he immediately discovered that the pressure acting on him had disappeared without a trace. It was as easy as when he was in the Taiching heaven domain. Lu Ming could feel his body brimming with energy. With a quick glance, Lu Ming discovered that the people who had entered the right eye were all flickering back and forth in the secret chamber, as if they were trying to find something. However, This secret chamber was completely empty. There was nothing inside. Not even a speck of dust could be seen. Meanwhile, not far away from Lu Ming, a figure flickered and Dandan appeared. As soon as Dandan appeared, his eyes immediately scanned the place, but he soon wore a disappointed look. There's nothing here. Did we guess wrong this time? We came here for nothing. Dandan wore a bitter face. Let's wait and see. Lu Ming rubbed his nose. They had really come here for nothing this time. Everyone waited patiently. As time passed, more and more people entered the secret chamber. Almost all the top experts of the evil god tribe and the heaven domain had entered the secret chamber. Other than Lu Ming, they were all 6-star great emperors and 7-star great emperors. There were a total of 60 to 70 people. After a few hours, no one had entered the secret chamber. Obviously, those who could enter had all entered. We won't be unable to get out, right? Suddenly, someone spoke. Everyone's heart skipped a beat, and their expressions turned ugly. Indeed, although the secret chamber was huge, it was surrounded by stone walls, and no one had any way out. They wouldn't be trapped here forever after coming in, right? Everyone looked at each other, and some of their faces turned pale. Dead end. They thought that the right eye was a dead end. Could it be true? Buzz. Just as everyone was feeling uneasy, the void vibrated slightly, and many patterns appeared. Then, these patterns formed a figure. It was a young and beautiful woman. What was strange was that this woman also had a pair of beautiful snow-white wings on her back. She was extremely similar to that statue. Everyone looked at this woman curiously. I'm the spirit of this place. The young woman spoke. Spirit of the formation. Lu Ming's eyes flickered, and he thought of the huge pagoda from before. It had also given birth to a spirit of the formation. It seemed that the formations in this place were too advanced and had been around for too long. They had even given birth to sentience. I was created by my master back then. My master is the original body of this statue, an unparalleled and invincible figure. This place is the eye of my master's statue. The spirit of the formation explained. Senior, where is your master now? Someone from the heaven domain asked. The owner of this statue was an unparalleled expert, even stronger than the heavenly emperor. If he was still alive, it would have a great impact on the war between the heaven domain and the evil god tribe. Whichever side he chose to stand on, that side would win for sure. Chapter 2376. The Matrix Spirit pondered for a moment and said, My master left countless years ago. Left? Many people were puzzled. What did she mean by left? Did she mean that he left the Void Sacred Island? Yes, I once heard my master say that he had completed his task and was going to leave this world and go back. The Matrix Spirit tried to recall. Everyone was even more puzzled. Left this world? Went back? Went back where? Did this world refer to the heaven realm, the primordial realm, the evil god realm, or all of them? Only Dandan showed a trace of shock and anticipation in his eyes, but he hid it well and no one noticed. When my master left, he said that after he left, his training ground would be found by someone sooner or later. If someone enters this place, they can give away some of the useless things he left behind back then. It can be considered a kind of fate. Also, let me tell you, you can only get it from the right eye. If you enter the left eye, you won't get anything. The Matrix Spirit said again, blinking her eyes slyly like a young girl. Many people's eyes suddenly lit up. This was a useless item left behind by an unparalleled expert. It might be useless to him, but to others, it would most likely be an unparalleled treasure. Since you have gotten the treasures, leave this place. Leave this island. I don't want anyone to disturb my master's training ground. When the time comes, all of you will have to leave. The Matrix Spirit spoke again. This time, after she finished speaking, a small silver-white bag appeared in her hand. She opened the bag and poured it out. Suddenly, balls of yellow light flew out of the bag. Those were storage rings and storage bracelets. They were covered with a layer of yellow light, like stars in the night sky. Everyone's eyes were burning with passion. These storage rings and bracelets were definitely not empty. They most likely contained treasures. It's mine! It's mine! A loud roar rang out. Everyone couldn't hold themselves back and rushed out, rushing towards those storage rings and bracelets. Get lost! You're courting death! Suddenly, a fierce battle broke out, and a fierce battle unfolded. In this place, there was no distinction between the evil god race and the heavenly realm. This was because everyone had selfish motives and wanted to take the treasures for themselves. A civil war broke out between the evil god race, and they were killing each other. There was also a civil war between the creatures of the heaven realm, killing each other. Ah! A miserable shriek rang out as a 6-star great emperor from the evil god tribe was chopped into two by another evil god tribe member. He died on the spot. The other was a human from the heaven realm. His body was torn apart by a true dragon from the heaven realm. Tragic. In this place, there were only treasures and no factions. Lu Ming and Dandan also moved. Lu Ming dashed forward and grabbed a storage ring that was glowing with a yellow light. Dandan, on the other hand, pounced on a storage bracelet. Die! One of the members of the evil god race roared in rage and charged toward Lu Ming. This evil god tribe member had the cultivation of a 6-star great emperor. His battle prowess was extremely astonishing. Wang! Lu Ming's muscles vibrated rapidly. At the same time, he used the 6-feathered divine wings to increase his speed to the maximum. Swoosh! With a flash, Lu Ming dodged the attack of this evil god tribe member. He appeared beside the storage ring and grabbed it. Courting death. That evil god tribe member was enraged and charged toward Lu Ming crazily. His third eye shot out a ray of destructive light and turned into a ferocious beast. He roared and pounced toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not fight head-on. Instead, he continued to use his movement technique to dodge the other party's attack. Lu Ming could fight against a 6-star great emperor with his own battle prowess. However, he was most likely not a match for the other party. There was no need to waste his energy. As for the heavenly emperor's physical body, Lu Ming did not want to use it yet. This was because the formation spirit was still floating in the air and holding onto that bag. Who knew if there were any higher-grade treasures in that bag? He would think about it again when there were higher-grade treasures. On the other side, Dandan had also successfully obtained a storage bracelet. His battle prowess was extremely strong. With just a few moves, he had blasted a 6-star great sovereign to the point where he vomited blood and obtained the storage bracelet. After he obtained the storage bracelet, he set his eyes on another storage bracelet. Lu Ming's figure flashed rapidly. He dodged the attack of that evil god tribe member and rushed toward another storage ring. Beside this storage ring, there were two 6-star great emperors fighting over it. These two 6-star great emperors, one was from the evil god tribe and the other was an expert from the heaven realm. The two of them fought non-stop and were extremely intense. Both of them were injured. Lu Ming rushed over and alarmed the two of them. Don't even think about it. The two of them attacked Lu Ming at the same time. Lu Ming raised his speed to the maximum. His muscles vibrated billions of times per second. His 6-feathered divine wings flapped rapidly and he successfully dodged one of the attacks. However, Lu Ming did not dodge the other attack and was hit. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. He directly rushed over and took the attack head-on. Boom! Lu Ming was hit. His body shook violently as if his body was about to be torn apart. However, Lu Ming gritted his teeth and took the attack head-on. At the same time, he circulated the indestructible ancient scripture to recover. Because of this, Lu Ming appeared beside the storage ring in a flash and kept it. Lu Ming successfully took 2 storage rings. Hand over the storage rings. Courting death. The 3 experts who had their storage rings taken away by Lu Ming were all filled with killing intent as they charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming circulated the indestructible ancient scripture to heal his injuries while dodging their attacks. At this moment, the entire secret chamber was in the midst of a massacre. 6-star great emperors and 7-star great emperors were killing each other. There were people dying constantly. It was extremely tragic. As for those storage rings and bracelets, they were all taken away. Soon, there were only a few storage rings left on the field. Kid, hand over the treasures. A purple-haired middle-aged man stared at Lu Ming and charged toward Lu Ming. His battle strength was shockingly strong. This was a peak great emperor. Moreover, he was from the royal family of the evil god tribe. His strength was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming's expression changed. Facing such an expert, if he did not use his heavenly emperor body, he would not be a match for him. Now is not the time. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. His figure flashed rapidly as he dodged the other party's attack. Do you think you can escape? You will die in my hands. The royal family member of the evil god tribe said coldly as he charged toward Lu Ming. This caused the 3 6-star great emperors who were chasing after Lu Ming to stop with a look of fear. Die your sister. Let me take you on. At this moment, a disdainful voice rang out. Then, a huge palm slammed down toward the royal family member of the evil god tribe. The palm was covered with all kinds of runes that interweaved with terrifying power. The royal family member of the evil god tribe struck out with his palm and collided with the palm. An earth-shattering explosion erupted. Then, the royal family member of the evil god tribe trembled and retreated continuously. Swoosh! Dandan appeared beside Lu Ming. Chapter 2377. Seeing Dandan arrive, Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. Dandan's combat strength was indeed strong. He actually defeated a royal member of the evil god tribe in one move. Moreover, it was a peak great emperor. The royal member of the evil god tribe stared at Dandan with purple light flashing in his eyes. He said coldly, "World Divine Turtle, that's good too. I'll get rid of you today to prevent you from becoming a disaster in the future." Boom! A resplendent purple light erupted from the royal member of the evil god tribe. It was incomparably dazzling, like a purple flame burning fiercely. Endless runes shone on Dandan's body. A world slowly appeared in his body. The battle between the two sides was about to erupt. But at this time, the storage rings and storage bracelets that Zhenling poured out earlier were all snatched away. Don't worry, there's more. In the sky, Zhenling chuckled, picked up the bag, and poured it out again. This time, balls of yellow light flew out from the bag again. This time, the number of balls of light that flew out was not many, only a dozen or so. However, the light emitted by each was incomparably resplendent, 10 times more dazzling than before. Within each ball of light was a weapon. There were close to 20 weapons, and each one emitted a terrifying aura. That was the aura of the Heavenly Tao. Heavenly Tao weapon. Everyone's hearts shook wildly. Blazing flames burst forth from their eyes as they stared fixedly at the close to 20 weapons. To be precise, there were 19 weapons. 19 Heavenly Tao weapons. Mine, it's mine. The Heavenly Tao weapon is mine. Many people's eyes were filled with blazing greed. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Everyone moved at the same time, rushing into the sky. Heavenly Tao weapons were too precious. Many heavenly emperors did not have them. The people here were all 6-star great emperors, peak great emperors. The next step was to break through to the heavenly emperor realm. Once they successfully broke through to the heavenly emperor realm, with the Heavenly Tao weapon, their strength would skyrocket. They would be able to stabilize their footing among the heavenly emperors. Even if they could not break through to the great emperor realm, selling them to the heavenly emperors would also be invaluable. Who would not be tempted by such treasures? A terrifying battle broke out in an instant. In the previous battle, about a dozen people had died, but there were still about 60 people left. 60 people and only 19 heavenly Tao soldiers. They were destined to fight to the death. Kill. Kill. This time, it was even more tragic. Those peak great emperors attacked with all their might. In an instant, a few 6-star great emperors were killed. Lu Ming and Dandan also soared into the sky and chose their respective targets. This time, Lu Ming did not hesitate at all. He took out the heavenly emperor physical body right away. Lu Ming merged with the celestial theater's body, and his speed reached the extreme as he charged toward a spear. There were also 3 other people rushing towards the spear. 2 6-star great emperors and 1 7-star great emperor. Kill. Lu Ming shouted as he slashed out with the stone sword in his hand. Bang! A 6-star Great Monarch was sent flying after being struck by Lu Ming's slash, spurting out mouthfuls of blood. The Heavenly Emperor's physical body's energy had reached 100%. It was extremely powerful and was not any weaker than a peak Great Emperor. The other 6-star Great Emperor was also sent flying by another peak Great Emperor. Then, he pounced on the spear with Lu Ming. Swoosh! Lu Ming was one step ahead. He stretched out his big hand and grabbed the long spear. Courting death. The peak Great Emperor shouted coldly as he attacked Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming did not dodge. This was the Heavenly Emperor's physical body. It was sturdy and had amazing defense. Unless the Heavenly Emperor attacked, Lu Ming did not believe that a Great Emperor could break it. Boom! The other party's attack landed on the Heavenly Emperor's physical body. The Heavenly Emperor's physical body shook violently, but he successfully blocked the other party's attack. Lu Ming withstood the attack and grabbed the spear, keeping it in his small world. Hand over the Heavenly Dao weapon. The peak Great Emperor was enraged as he unleashed a storm of attacks. Don't think that I'm afraid of you, Lu Ming shouted coldly. He ignored his defense and charged forward. When the other party's attack landed on Lu Ming's body, it only made Lu Ming shake a little. Lu Ming did not stop there as he charged forward and slashed out with his sword. The other party was shocked and quickly retreated. However, he was still a step too late. He was swept by Lu Ming's sword and a deep wound appeared on his body. He was almost cut in half. Kill! Lu Ming shouted coldly and took the opportunity to attack. The Heavenly Emperor's physical body's energy was 100%. His combat strength was not weaker than a peak Great Emperor. However, the Heavenly Emperor's physical body's defense was amazing. Lu Ming could completely ignore his defense. In this way, he could completely crush a peak Great Emperor in a head-on battle. The other party was injured and his combat strength was weakened. He was not Lu Ming's opponent. After a few moves, he was sent flying by Lu Ming. Half of his body was chopped off. The other party was shocked and did not dare to fight with Lu Ming. He quickly retreated. Die. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared behind the other party. A palm covered with runes struck towards the other party. Ah! The other party roared. He did not expect a sneak attack from behind. He wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Bang! The other party was directly hit. His body was torn into pieces and he died on the spot. A peak Great Emperor was killed just like that. The one who killed him was naturally Dandan. Dandan had already seized a Heavenly Dao weapon. And that person just happened to retreat to Dandan's side. Dandan directly attacked the other party. Dandan, let's join forces. Lu Ming flew over. Alright, there's one over there. Dandan shouted and flew towards a Heavenly Dao weapon. Lu Ming followed closely behind. Over there, a few people were fighting fiercely. The two of them rushed over and directly attacked a peak Great Emperor. This peak Great Emperor was from the evil god tribe. Boom! Dandan struck out with his palm. Endless runes spread out. In his palm, there seemed to be a small world that suppressed the other party. The other party was shocked and hurriedly counterattacked. However, Lu Ming also rushed over. He fought without any regard for his life. He completely ignored defense and slashed out with his sword. Surrounded by the two of them, the other party was instantly defeated. He was slashed into two by Lu Ming's sword. The other party was not dead yet. He retreated in horror. The two of them did not chase. They kept the Heavenly Dao weapon and then rushed towards another Heavenly Dao weapon. The two of them joined forces and were invincible. The next Heavenly Dao weapon was also obtained. In this way, the two of them each obtained two Heavenly Dao weapons. The two of them joining forces also attracted the attention of the others. Some who had a good relationship with them also started to join forces, especially some peak Great Emperors. The 19 Heavenly Dao weapons were fewer and fewer. They were all snatched away. That guy obtained two Heavenly Dao weapons. Dandan's gaze turned to a purple-haired middle-aged man. That person was the royal evil god tribe from before. This person's combat strength was shocking. He was stronger than ordinary peak Great Emperors. Kill! Lu Ming was very direct. He rushed towards the royal evil god tribe. The energy in the heavenly emperor's body was limited. He had to end the battle quickly. Dandan's figure flashed and also charged towards this person. Chapter 2378. Bastard of the evil god tribe, come and fight me, Dandan shouted. He opened his mouth and spat out a long river. It was like a heavenly river and also like a battle sword. Boom! The royal member of the evil god tribe emitted a dazzling purple light. A battle sword appeared in his hand. The weapons that the evil god tribe usually used were battle axes, giant hammers, spiked maces, iron rods, and other heavy weapons. Very few of them used swords. Clang! The sword whistled continuously. The royal member of the evil god tribe slashed out two swords at the same time. Two purple sword lights slashed toward Lu Ming and Dandan respectively. A purple sword light collided with the long river that Dandan spat out. There was a loud explosion and the two of them disappeared. However, Dandan had already closed in on the royal member of the evil god tribe and struck out with his palm. As for Lu Ming, he didn't take the other party's sword light head-on. Clashing head-on would consume a lot of energy. Lu Ming wanted to conserve as much energy as possible. Lu Ming's figure flashed and dodged the sword light. Then, he charged toward the royal member of the evil god tribe. At this moment, Dandan and the royal member of the evil god tribe had already clashed for the second time. Boom! This time, it was a real head-on collision. Both of them trembled and retreated continuously. However, the royal member of the evil god tribe retreated more. He was at a disadvantage. The royal member of the evil god tribe was shocked. The royal member of the evil god tribe was very strong to begin with. In a battle of the same level, his strength far surpassed other members of the evil god tribe. However, Dandan was clearly only a 6-star great emperor. He hadn't reached the peak of the great emperor realm yet. Yet, his battle strength was stronger than his. This shocked him. Die, bastard! Dandan charged toward the royal member of the evil god tribe again. His killing intent was incomparably cold. Dandan hated the evil god tribe to the core. In the ancient era, he was severely injured by the evil god tribe and barely turned into an egg. After meeting Lu Ming, he was reborn. Therefore, he had to kill the members of the evil god tribe whenever he saw them. This time, Lu Ming had arrived as well. When the two of them joined forces, the royal evil god tribe was no match for them. Although he tried his best, he was still severely injured and retreated frantically. Come and help me, the royal member of the evil god race roared. The royal clan had an extremely high status in the evil god race. Even in such a situation, everyone wanted to snatch the heavenly Dao soldier. However, there was still a peak great emperor who charged towards Lu Ming and the others. No one can save you, Dandan roared and launched a barrage of attacks. Lu Ming also launched a frenzied attack. Puff! The royal member of the evil god tribe barely managed to block a few moves, but he was ultimately no match for Lu Ming. One of his arms was chopped off with a single sword strike. The other party's storage bracelet was on this arm. Lu Ming used his power of the realm to collect the arm. Bastard, damn it. The royal member of the evil god race roared in rage. All his treasures were in his interspatial bracelet, including the 2 heavenly Dao weapons. No, 3 of them. He had even borrowed one from the heavenly emperor realm powerhouse of the evil god race, which he had used to kill that azure dragon previously. His eyes were red, and his heart was bleeding. Unfortunately, he didn't dare to stay and could only retreat frantically. At this time, the 19 heavenly Dao weapons were all snatched away. Lu Ming and Dandan had the greatest gains, obtaining a total of 6 heavenly Dao weapons. At the scene, there were more than 20 corpses. Among them, there were a few peak great emperors who had fallen here. The remaining people's eyes flickered. Some of them stared at Lu Ming. Because Lu Ming and Dandan had indeed obtained shocking gains just now. However, there were even more people who stared at the formation spirit. Their eyes flickered with intense greed. How many treasures were in the bag in the formation spirit's hand? A four-armed evil god race member's eyes were filled with greed. He had already been blinded by greed. He took the initiative to attack, pouncing towards the formation spirit. Hand over that bag. The four-armed evil god race member was also a peak great emperor. His speed was extremely fast. At the same time, the four weapons in his four arms slashed towards the formation spirit. You actually want to attack me? Interesting. Then I shall send you on your way, the formation spirit muttered. Then, it opened its small mouth and spat out. It was as though a stream of chi was spat out from the mouth of the formation spirit. After that, a shocking scene occurred. That four-armed evil god race member screamed miserably as his body directly exploded, transforming into ashes that dissipated in the air. Nothing was left behind. Everyone was shocked. It was like a bucket of cold water had been poured on them, extinguishing the fire of their greed. A single breath blew a peak great emperor to death. What kind of strength was this? He is really courting death. This is the formation spirit produced by a great formation set up by a supreme expert. It can borrow the power of the great formation here. Even a heavenly emperor would die, let alone him. Dandan transmitted his voice to Lu Ming, gloating. The others' faces turned ugly. They no longer dared to have any ideas about the formation spirit. I have one last treasure now. I will give it to you too. The formation spirit spoke again. Then, the bag was tipped over and a ball of light flew out. This time, there was only one ball of light. It was extremely dazzling. It was 10 times more dazzling than the previous heavenly Dao weapons. It was a badge in the middle of the light. It looked very simple and ancient. However, it did not emit any aura. It looked very ordinary. However, everyone's eyes were blazing. The formation spirit was the last to take out the badge. The light on the badge was 10 times more dazzling than the heavenly Dao weapons. According to their previous judgment, the more precious the treasure was, the more dazzling the light on it would be. Although they could not tell what was so special about the badge, it was definitely extremely precious. At that instant, everyone moved and charged toward the badge. Bang! Bang! A terrifying battle immediately broke out. The secret chamber shook violently. Bang! Bang! A few 6-star great emperors were torn apart and died on the spot. The remaining 6-star great emperors were terrified. They immediately backed away, not daring to interfere. With so many people fighting for the badge, the battle was too intense. All the peak great emperors were attacking wildly. If a 6-star great emperor was dragged into the battle, he would definitely die. This time, Lu Ming and Dandan did not make a move. They were preserving their strength. Needless to say, if they made a move now, they would definitely face a fierce battle. Although Lu Ming and Dandan were strong, if they made a move now, they would definitely face the attacks of the other peak great emperors. The best strategy was to wait and see. Of course, it was not easy to do so in the face of such a treasure. It might be 10 times more precious than a heavenly Dao weapon. Who could remain calm? Even the heavenly emperors would go crazy. However, Dandan was an old monster who had lived for God knows how long. He had a strong temperament. He managed to hold it in. As for Lu Ming, he was no ordinary person. He had experienced a lot along the way. His temperament was stronger than many old monsters who had lived for countless years. At this moment, he also managed to hold it in. At the same time, he took out a large number of energy crystals to replenish the energy of the Heavenly Emperor's body. In the previous battle, the Heavenly Emperor's body had lost a lot of energy. It was time to replenish it. Chapter 2379. At the scene, the fight for that token was incomparably intense. Evil God Tribe and Heaven Realm's peak great emperors added together were close to 30. Close to 30 peak great emperors were fighting crazily. At this moment, there was no race, no division. There was only personal greed. The others were all competitors. In such a tragic battle, casualties appeared in a short while. A slightly weaker peak great emperor was torn apart by the other 2 peak great emperors. There was also a very powerful peak great emperor who rushed out of the encirclement and rushed towards his token. When he was about to get close to the token, he was beaten to ashes by everyone. Peak Great Emperors fell one after another. Those who did not fall also suffered varying degrees of injuries. Tragic, incomparably tragic. These were Peak Great Emperors. If a heavenly emperor did not appear, who could compete with them? No matter where they were placed, they would be a powerhouse with a chance of becoming a heavenly emperor. But now, they were worthless. Some were killed by the enemy, some died in the hands of their own powerhouses. The more they killed, the crazier everyone became. They were already bloodshot. Swoosh. Finally, someone rushed to the side of the token and grabbed it in his hand. This was a true dragon. Its entire body was golden. It was an exceptionally powerful golden true dragon. Its strength was shocking. When he grabbed the token in his hand, he roared and tried his best to break out of the encirclement, wanting to rush out. However, immediately, a few extremely powerful experts rushed over. All kinds of attacks continuously drowned out the golden true dragon. Although the golden true dragon was strong and had astonishing defensive power, he could not withstand it. Wounds appeared on his body, almost tearing his body apart. His eyes revealed a look of fear as he threw the token out. The scene fell into a chaotic battle again. Lu Ming, hurry up and recover. I'll make some arrangements first. Dandan transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Then, his figure flashed quickly. Runes appeared from Dandan's hand and disappeared into the void. Lu Ming knew that Dandan was setting up a formation. Dandan's control of runes had reached an unimaginable level. As long as he was given some time, he would definitely be able to set up a terrifying formation. Lu Ming kept taking out energy crystals and supreme-grade origin stones to speed up the celestial theater's energy storage. Bang! Bang! Large amounts of energy crystals and peak-grade origin stones that he had obtained from the evil god race exploded, turning into seething energy that was absorbed by the Heaven Empyrean's body. Of course, there was also a portion that was wasted and dissipated into void space. However, Lu Ming didn't mind at all. Normally, Lu Ming would not use such a barbaric method to allow the Celestial Emperor's body to store energy, because it would be too wasteful. A portion of the energy would dissipate if it could not be absorbed. But now, he could not care less. In the air, the array spirit glanced at Dandan with a smile on his face. He seemed to have noticed something, but he did not say anything. At the scene, the fight for the tokens had entered a white-hot stage, and the fighting was exceptionally fierce. Peak Great Emperors were killed one after another. In the beginning, there were close to 30 Peak Great Emperors. Now, there were only 20 left. The remaining 20 or so Peak Great Emperors were all injured. Whoosh! At this moment, Dandan appeared beside Lu Ming and said, "How is it? Can you make a move?" "Yes," Lu Ming said. "All right, let's make a move together and obtain the token as fast as we can." Dandan nodded. Almost at the same time, the two of them moved. The two of them charged out at the same time. "Endless world!" Dandan roared. He revealed his original body, which was covered in runes. Then, he opened his mouth and spat out a world. It was really a world. However, this wasn't a small world that Dandan had condensed. It was a kind of divine ability. This kind of divine ability was extremely powerful. It was as though a world was suppressing the enemy. Boom! One of the Peak Great Emperors in front of Dandan was already injured. In addition to Dandan's sudden attack, he could not react in time and was killed by Dandan. There were also two other Peak Great Emperors who were sent flying by Dandan. Whoosh! Lu Ming seized the opportunity and charged forward, waving his hand to grab the token. He and Dandan cooperated seamlessly. Lu Ming grabbed the token in his hand. Courting death. Let go of the token. Kill. Instantly, the other Peak Great Emperors roared and launched terrifying attacks at Lu Ming. Boom. 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 Lu Ming was instantly engulfed by various attacks. The Heavenly Emperor body shook violently and was sent flying. He flew for thousands of miles and crashed into the wall of the secret chamber. However, Lu Ming was fine. The Heavenly Emperor body blocked the attacks of the others. If it were any other Peak Great Emperor, they would definitely die after being hit by so many attacks and their souls would scatter. However, Lu Ming used the Heavenly Emperor body to block the attacks and successfully kept the token in his small world. Still not dead. Kill him. The rest of the people were also shocked. They then charged toward Lu Ming in a frenzy. Lu Ming, come over and enter the formation. Dandan's voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. At the same time, Dandan waved his hands rapidly. Rays of sword light appeared in the void and attacked the Peak Great Emperors. Half of the Peak Great Emperors were blocked by the formation controlled by Dandan. The rest continued to charge towards Lu Ming. Bam! Lu Ming stomped his feet on the wall and charged towards Dandan like a cannonball. Swoosh! 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 Attacks blasted towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming ignored them and allowed the attacks to hit his body. No one below the Heavenly Emperor could break the defense of the Heavenly Emperor body. Lu Ming charged past them and approached Dandan rapidly. Kill. A purple-haired middle-aged man appeared in front of Lu Ming and slashed his sword towards Lu Ming. It was the royal member of the evil god tribe. One of his arms was cut off by Lu Ming and his storage bracelet was snatched away. He had been thinking about taking it back. At this moment, his arm had grown back. He seized the opportunity and charged towards Lu Ming. Get lost. Lu Ming shouted and slashed out. Clang. The two swords clashed and a violent explosion erupted. Lu Ming's figure was blocked and stopped. However, Lu Ming took another step and charged towards the royal member of the evil god tribe. It wasn't just the battle sword. His entire body was charging towards the other party. He didn't use any moves or skills at all. It was just a barbaric charge. Swoosh! Swoosh! The royal member of the evil god tribe stabbed out hundreds of times. The hundreds of sword lights were incomparably sharp. However, Lu Ming didn't seem to see them and charged forward. Those sword lights could only leave some shallow marks on Lu Ming's body. Bam! Lu Ming crashed into the royal member of the evil god tribe with his sword. The royal member of the evil god tribe grunted and was sent flying. As for Lu Ming, he charged past and successfully arrived near Dandan. Formation, rise. He shouted boldly and waved his hands. Countless runes appeared and pieces of turtle shells appeared out of nowhere, enveloping Lu Ming and the royal member of the evil god tribe. Chapter 2380. Dandan controlled the array. Countless runes appeared and formed pieces of turtle shells. Like shields, they surrounded Lu Ming and Dandan in the middle. Boom! 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 Just as the turtle shells rose, the attacks from all directions arrived. Every attack was launched by a Peak Great Emperor and was shockingly powerful. However, when they hit the turtle shells, they were blocked by the turtle shells. None of the attacks could break the turtle shells. Ha ha ha, you want to break the array that I set up? Although the time is short, it's still possible to set up an array to defend against you. Dandan laughed proudly. Damn it, watch me break your turtle shells. Break. The remaining Peak Great Emperors shouted one after another. All of them unleashed their ultimate moves and attacked Dandan and Lu Ming. However, there were many turtle shells and they blocked all the gaps. When all the attacks landed on the turtle shells only shook but couldn't break them. Everyone, attack 1 point. Someone shouted and wanted to focus everyone's attacks on 1 point to break the turtle shells. Swoosh! Swoosh! Suddenly, everyone's attacks were focused on one piece of turtle shell. Sure enough, this move worked. The tortoise shell shook violently, and then cracks appeared on its surface. Those people were overjoyed, but Dandan's face was very calm. There was even a hint of mockery. Boom! That tortoise shell was shattered and exploded. However, in the next moment, a new tortoise shell immediately condensed and took its place. Those people were stunned. Then, they were furious and attacked again. But it was useless. Every time they broke a piece of the turtle shell, a new one would float out of it. Dandan smiled faintly. His leisurely expression almost made those people vomit blood. After attacking for a while, there was no effect at all. Those people had no choice but to stop. What's the use of hiding in the turtle shells? We'll wait here. He'll come out sooner or later. Once he comes out, We'll tear them to pieces," the royal member of the evil god tribe said coldly. The others also revealed cold eyes. "Have you forgotten what I said before?" At this moment, the array genie in the air spoke. Her clear voice rang in everyone's ears. "I've given you the items. Once you've received them, I'll send you out. I'll give you half an hour. After half an hour, I'll send all of you out at the same time." Half an hour, damn it. The other people's expressions greatly changed. Then, they started to attack one after another, attacking Dandan and Lu Ming. They had to break through the Dandan's formation in half an hour. However, everything was futile. It was completely useless. There were even people who bombarded the void, smashing it into pieces in an attempt to destroy the foundation of the formation. However, this kind of formation that imprinted the runes in the void could not be broken at all. Unless one's strength was so strong that it could directly annihilate all the particles in the void, it would be possible to break the void. Time passed quickly, and soon, half an hour had passed. "All right, time's up. All of you can leave now." At this moment, the array genie spoke. After speaking, her body emitted a bright light. An incomparably powerful force acted on Lu Ming and the others. Boom! Their bodies were repelled by an incomparably powerful force. In an instant, they flew out of the statue and out of the void sacred island. At this moment, an incomparably terrifying and supreme force erupted from the statue and spread in all directions. Everyone on the void sacred island was pushed out of the void sacred island by this wave of power. However, the strange thing was that the demonic beasts and mutated beasts that originally lived on the void sacred island were not affected at all. Lu Ming was in the air, completely out of his control. It was as if he was in the sea, being pushed by a huge wave and flying backward at an extremely fast speed. At the same time, he saw that in other directions of the void sacred island, figures were being pushed in all directions. The scene was extremely spectacular. Not long after, Lu Ming and the others were pushed to the edge of the void sacred island and stood in the void. Only then did the force disappear. Many figures stood at the edge of the void sacred island. There were people from the evil god tribe and also people from the heaven realm. Other than Lu Ming and a few others, most people looked at each other, not knowing what had happened. Ah! Suddenly, a miserable cry rang out. Someone had attacked. An evil god tribe member suddenly attacked and tore apart an elite from the heaven realm. This was because at the edge of the void sacred island, people from the evil god tribe and the heaven realm were mixed together. After being stunned for a short while, someone reacted and attacked. "You're courting death." Immediately, someone from the heaven realm counterattacked. At the edge of the void sacred island, a chaotic battle broke out. Two 2-star and 3-star great emperors attacked Lu Ming, but they were killed by Lu Ming with a single punch. "Dandan, let's go first." Lu Ming rushed toward Dandan because Dandan had appeared not far from him. Soon, the two of them met up and rushed out of the void, wanting to meet up with Celestial the Archhengyu. "Stay here." With a loud roar, an evil god tribe member charged toward Lu Ming and Dandan with blazing eyes. This evil god tribe member was a peak great emperor. Previously, there were close to 20 peak great emperors left in the statues. However, they were scattered in all directions by that force. There was only one peak great emperor here. "You want to keep me here alone? Die." Dandan's eyes flashed with malevolence as he charged toward this peak great emperor. As for Lu Ming, he had already kept the celestial Theacher's body. Without the celestial Theacher's body, he was naturally not a match for a peak great emperor. Hence, he did not attack. Boom. Boom. Dandan's battle prowess was extremely strong. After a few moves, the peak great emperor was beaten until he vomited blood. The other party was shocked and kept retreating, not daring to fight with Lu Ming. Lu Ming and Dandan met up and rushed out. "Let's go. Now is not the time for a decisive battle." On the side of the heaven world, someone shouted and then flew out. The people of the evil god tribe did not dare to chase after them. This was because the people of the heaven world were flying in the direction of the heaven world's celestial theatres. If they chased after them, only death would await them. The people of the evil god tribe changed direction and flew in another direction. Slowly, the battle at the edge of the Void Sacred Island stopped. Everyone chose a direction and left the Void Sacred Island. Lu Ming and Dandan flew at extreme speed. The Void Sacred Island was getting further and further away from them. It was also getting smaller and smaller. Finally, they saw the figures in front of them. They were the celestial theatres of the heaven world. There were more than 10 of them. Among them, Lu Ming saw Celestial the Archheng. These celestial theatres were looking at the Void Sacred Island anxiously. Clearly, they had also sensed the changes on the Void Sacred Island. Celestial the Archhengyu's eyes lit up when he saw Lu Ming and flew over. Lu Ming, what happened on the Void Sacred Island? Celestial the Archhengyu asked. The other celestial theatres also looked over curiously. Chapter 2381. Senior Hengyu, this matter is complicated. Let's go back first. Lu Ming said. All right, I'll bring you back. Heavenly Emperor Hengyu nodded. He waved his hand and brought Lu Ming and Dandan back to the passage they came from. There was also a Heavenly Emperor guarding the passage. Heavenly Emperor Hengyu brought Lu Ming and Dandan into the passage and returned to the Grand Clear Sky domain. Lu Ming, wait for me here. I still have to bring the others back. Heavenly Emperor Hengyu said. There were many great emperors who entered the Void Sacred Island, but the number of heavenly emperors was limited. Naturally, each heavenly emperor had to make several trips. Senior Hengyu, how about this? We'll return to the Two-World City and wait for you. How about that? Lu Ming said. All right, you guys return to the Two-World City first. Heavenly Emperor Hengyu nodded and turned to enter the passage. As for Lu Ming and Dandan, they flew back to the Two-World City. Back when Heavenly Emperor Hengyu had brought them from Two-Realm City, it had only taken them an hour. However, their speed was naturally not as fast as Heavenly Emperor Hengyu's. The two of them had flown at full speed, yet it had taken them 2 days to reach Two-Realm City. In the Two-World City, Lu Ming lived in the courtyard. Lu Ming and Dandan began to divide the treasures they obtained. What they divided up was mainly the Heavenly Dao armament and the title plate. The two of them took out all the Heaven Dao soldiers. The two of them worked together to snatch 6 Heaven Dao soldiers. There was one more that was brought in by the Royal Evil God tribe. There were a total of 7 Heaven Dao soldiers. The 7 Heaven Dao soldiers emitted a terrifying aura. Dandan was so frightened that he quickly set up a formation to conceal the aura. There was also the token. Dandan, what do you choose? Lu Ming looked at Dandan. Dandan's eyes were burning with passion as he looked at the Heaven Dao soldiers and the token. He wanted to take them for himself. I'll study this token first. Dandan held the token in his hand and carefully studied it. However, Dandan used all kinds of methods, but to no avail. How could this be? Dandan was puzzled. Let me see. Lu Ming took the token and studied it carefully. However, he discovered that there was nothing special about this token other than its special material and its indestructible durability. A very ordinary command medallion. Is it really more important than a Heavenly Dao weapon? Lu Ming was puzzled. Dandan was also scratching her head. She was also confused. Dandan, how about this? 7 Heavenly Dao soldiers, 3 for each person, 4 for each person. But the 3 Heavenly Dao soldiers, plus this command medallion, what do you think? Lu Ming looked at Dandan. All right. Dandan nodded, but his eyes darted around, obviously hesitating on what to choose. How about this? I'll take 3 Heavenly Dao soldiers and this token. Lu Ming was the first to speak. You'll choose this token? Kid, you really know how to choose. Dandan gritted his teeth. Dandan, this token might not be useful at all. You've studied it before. I took it purely out of curiosity. How precious is a Heavenly Dao soldier? I'll let you take one more. You'll benefit greatly. Lu Ming said. Go away, you're trying to fool a 3-year-old kid. This token is extremely mysterious. It's the last one taken out by the formation spirit. It might contain the secrets of Heavenly Dao. Don't think that I don't know that you want to keep it for yourself. Dandan gritted his teeth and stared at the token, unwilling to look away. Dandan, how about this? I always feel that I'm fated with this token. I'll take it first. If I discover any secrets in the future, I'll definitely bring you along. How about that? Lu Ming said. He was indeed reluctant to give this token to Dandan. To be honest, he really had a feeling that this token might be of great use in the future. It was a kind of intuition. Dandan gritted his teeth. Obviously, he was still reluctant. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, if you discover any secrets in the future, you must tell me. Otherwise, I won't let you off." After that, Dandan began to choose from the 7 heavenly Dao soldiers. "Dandan, this long spear suits me better. You can choose the rest." Lu Ming kept one of the long spears. Dandan did not mind. A heavenly Dao soldier in the form of a long spear was not of much use to him. In the end, Dandan chose 4 heavenly Dao soldiers and kept them. He left 2 for Lu Ming. As for the remaining 2 items, one was a battle sword and the other was a meteor hammer. Lu Ming kept all of them and was satisfied. This time, he had obtained 3 heavenly Dao soldiers. This was a huge gain. "Lu Ming, I'll be cultivating in Two World City for this period of time. If you discover anything, remember to look for me." After Dandan put away the things, his figure flashed and left this place. Lu Ming smiled, then took out 2 storage rings and started checking. These 2 storage rings were obtained from that formation spirit. Lu Ming was very curious about what was inside. Lu Ming's spiritual sense swept over and his eyes immediately lit up. The things inside the storage rings were very messy. There was everything. Raw stones, all kinds of refining materials, medicinal pills, and so on. Chaos stones. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In one of the storage rings, he discovered chaos stones. This time, the number was also shockingly many, a full 10,000 pieces. This was an astonishing gain. Also, great Dao fragments. Following that, Lu Ming discovered great Dao fragments again. They were locked in a box, more than 100 pieces. Even if Lu Ming was mentally prepared, he was also overjoyed. If this wealth was taken out, it would make people go crazy. "I'm rich, I'm really rich." Lu Ming's current wealth was already more than many heavenly emperors. 3 heavenly Dao soldiers was no joke. One had to know that most heavenly emperors did not have any heavenly Dao soldiers. This trip to the Void Sacred Island is really fruitful. Lu Ming sighed. This time, after cultivating on Void Sacred Island for 7 to 8 years, Lu Ming's progress in all aspects was very great. Of the 10 supreme laws, Lu Ming had already cultivated 8 to the 3rd realm. The other 3 supreme laws had also been cultivated to the 3rd realm. Moreover, Lu Ming had also cultivated the 7 gods' mysterious art to the middle of the 5th level, and his strength had increased comprehensively. It's a pity. If I had cultivated for a while more, I might have been able to successfully cultivate the remaining 2 supreme laws. Lu Ming sighed. Of the 10 supreme laws, the karma law was only at the entry level, and the destiny law was not yet at the entry level. The speed of comprehending laws in Void Sacred Island was dozens of times faster than outside. Lu Ming was really tempted. It was a pity that he would not be able to enter in the future. It's already very rare for me to have such a great gain. I can't be too greedy. Lu Ming smiled, then put away the items and sat down cross-legged. His soul entered the small world and began to comprehend the karma law. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. On this day, Eternal Universe Great Emperor arrived. Obviously, all the heavenly emperors who had entered Void Sacred Island had been brought out. Immediately, Lu Ming told Eternal Universe Great Emperor what had happened in Void Sacred Island. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,